Is it possible that we're living in like a golden age of subtlety for music? I know the way it seems with the TikTok and the loud noises and the hyperpop and all that. Maybe it seems like everything is getting amazingly simple and basic and surface level. But I'd make a secondary argument that maybe while that's happening, at the same time, technology is allowing a certain kind of subtlety that maybe was harder to attain in the past become more prevalent. Case in point, Ebbb, EBBB, all at once, their new EP. This was sent to me a couple weeks ago by Ninja Tune Records. They sent it to me, electronically. And Ninja Tune, Dead Air, those are basically the two rock labels or sort of non-rap labels that if I see they're coming out with something, I'm going to assume it's pretty good. When you sort of wonder, like, what's the point of having record labels anymore? Curation does matter, support does matter. So in general, if I know Ninja Tune is coming out with something, I think it's going to be pretty good. So I listened to it a couple weeks ago, and I didn't hate it, but I just sort of I was like, yeah, I don't know, I don't really get it. Like I don't know what I'm going to say about it. Like, I like it. It was a fun listen. It was kind of like ethereal and cool. And then it finally came out last Friday. And listening to it like a second time, I was like, oh, I think I sort of get this. And then I decided to listen. It's only 17 minutes, so please check it out. I listened to it one more time. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't stop listening. It's like this way that they have of making this music that is, well, let me explain. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who's doing his Thunderground Thursday. That's where I talk about lesser-known acts on a Thursday. In this case, it's on a Monday, and I'm just checking in on you. And I want to talk to you about Ebbb, primarily because it's... Listen, you got to give it up to bands that don't care about search engine optimization. Okay, EBBB is a very difficult name to find because you look it up, you might find Nitz or Ebbb, you might find other stuff. I reviewed a different English band or English person on Man last year. Very difficult to find. I don't know if it's supposed to be like E flat BB or what it is or how you're supposed to pronounce it. But what's so great about it is that subtlety and the richness of the layering in their music. Now listen, you don't know this band, so let me just give you the stupid music cricket thing of just saying, if you like this and this, it's like indie synth pop Fleet Foxes. Does that make you want to listen to it? That doesn't sound as good as it is. So just take my advice, give it a couple listens. I almost wanted to call it like garage music, but then I realized I don't really understand what garage music is. But what's wild is you have this ethereal music. Do I get credit, by the way, for admitting I don't really understand what garage music is? Like, I sort of do. But a friend of mine saw a commercial on TV in London once where it was just someone going, garage, 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 garage. That's just what I pictured as being. That's not what this is. But if you like that idea of sort of a very electronic synth pop basis with ethereal, gorgeous singing, then you should check it out. And no better song to check out than the opening song off the album, Himmel, which you can click above the slightly hidden copy of Smile by Beach Boys on purpose that I have back there. So Himmel, German, means sky and heaven. And this is everything this album is. How the synth kind of rolls in and then this whole choir of a voice and a kind of droning melody. Now, I'm not going to belabor the point too much, but I've become fascinated by Beth Gibbons' album and PJ Harvey's album, how there are these folk elements which I feel seem to connect to some kind of sense of pre-industrial English cultural identity. Like, not like, for Britons, right? I mean like a sort of like almost like pre-nation sense of culture. And I don't know if I get that a ton here, but there is a little bit of that kind of folksy feel to it. And then there's just like this weird, just like rumbling underneath. That's that subtlety I'm talking about, because you don't really pay attention to it. You don't understand how like this gorgeous falsetto voice, which also reminds me very positively of Holy Hive, but they're not a very well-known band either. So that's why I'm sticking with Fleet Foxes. And these tinkling sections everywhere, and then just this melody. This melody, I just love it. For some reason, I wrote in my notes Smelody, S-M-E-L-O-D-Y, not on purpose. This melody is just so unbelievably catchy. What's he singing? Dude, I don't know. I don't know. I can't find their lyrics. Their lyrics might be out there. I don't know what they are. Then again, you're out of sight. Recline my head for a while. I suspect the lyrics I'm able to pick up are good, but because it's sung in so much falsetto, because it's got all these layers all over it, you end up not really paying attention to it. It just kind of builds into the fabric. And this whole song sets up the EP perfectly. Next track is Answered. This is a little bit more of that Fleet Foxes style harmony, but with a 4-on-the-floor EDM bass drum. You know, it's a really weird mix. And then there's just like increasingly aggressive sounds in the back. And then there's this flute. And the flute is madness. The flute is just, it's just absolute madness. Again, maybe the flute sound is that kind of pre-industrial thing, but I don't know. This is just sort of me as an outsider, you know, someone who doesn't live in England, has never lived in England. I know a lot of English people, but just getting the sense of just how hard it is to be there, that it would make sense that with everything as difficult as it is to try to connect to some kind of past time that is not tainted by the ignorance of nationalism. Anyways, it's funny because it also just gets really, the same time I'm saying that, like I'm talking about these sounds, these kind of long, faraway sounds that are mixed in with very modern, aggressive electric sounds, especially these kind of ratty off-rhythm sounds at the end. Then we get to the next song, Swarm, or as we would call it where I'm from in Boston, Swam. Kind of a boots and cats rhythm, but I think it's a real hi-hat, not a drum machine. Very weird synthesizers. This high ethereal singing, detached from the plane, no original thought entrenched in their veins. I think I'd like the lyrics. And I feel bad because the dude from Ninja Tune said they're open to do interviews or anything you need. So it seems to me like I kind of missed something there, but I've been super busy lately, etc. But you know, it's nice. And then there's a full instrumental break with this cut up voice, and it gets all wild, and there's like harps or maybe zithers, I don't know. Just a full weird break there, very polyrhythmic. And then there's just like a full on Beach Boys style, Smile Era Beach Boys harmony. Next song is called Torn. It's a cover of the Natalie Imbruglia song. And, you know, they do a really, no, I'm just kidding. I get one joke. It's not a cover of the Natalie Imbruglia song. More of that maybe zither, these nice high strings. And this one has almost like a medieval feeling. It's almost like a medieval chant, almost like church music. You know, it's only 17 minutes. I don't know what this band will be like as they extend out. You know, I feel bad for British bands because it's like, their greatest hope is to be like hot, and then once they get hot, they have one album where everyone cares about them, and then the second album comes out and everyone says they're done. So this is before that one album that everyone's going to say is great. And this one's great just the way it devolves into just absolute madness, these fluttering sounds and kind of distorted techno, just really ratty garage moment, and this cut up voice and the sounds. Really, am I doing a good job of explaining this paradox of this band that has all these really sweet sounds and all these really aggressive sounds? Next, final track is called Seamlessly. A little bit more harp and some backward noises. The singing is a little bit more direct. I feel like I pick up the lyrics here. You know, there's a term that was used to describe Fleet Foxes. What was it called? It was like Baroque pop. I think that's what it was called. And it pissed me off. I found that really annoying, really pretentious. But also I get it, and I think it might apply here, primarily just for the kind of polyphony that's going on here. There's a kind of like la-la voices in the back that create like a new layer like the synths do, and the lyrics are seamlessly float away, I think, and find out just all sorts of like just floating away. And it starts off with the Himmel, the whole thing. It cuts off with just this certain point where there's just these la sounds and these backward sounds. And it's a very nice ending that segues very well into the album beginning again, if you have it on a loop, which I highly suggest you do. This very nice, simultaneously earthly project that is also very gritty and there. The cover is like a person's arm underneath a giant rock. And it's a lot like that Everything Everything album cover. And I don't know if you can make a really good comparison between Everything Everything and this band. I think you could. I mean, just not just because they're British and they do electric and they do rock stuff, but maybe even just sort of like, I think that they would be a good opening act, if that makes sense. So anyways, thank you to Ninja Tune. They don't like pay me or anything. They just contact me. But I really believe in supporting record labels when they're doing like good things for art. So Ninja Tune, thank you for baking good. Sky, shut up, Sky. I gotta stop. All right, and speaking of nationalism, I'm gonna go watch the second half of Serbia and England. And I predict Serbia is gonna pull ahead and win 3-1. Let's see if that comes true, okay? You tell me in the comments, was I correct in my prediction of the score? Did Serbia win 3-1? All right, there's the camera.